consent agenda and
No one's going.
What's that, Mike?
What's the matter? Let me give you a paper. I'll tell you what we're going to do.
Just on the other side of this. Oh, back side.
so I can speak later. Right here on this podium.
For anybody that wants a comment card that wants to speak, you need to fill out, or you can fill out a card right behind this gentleman in front of the screen. I think it might be right on the table right there. Please.
I don't know. I think Tom did it right. For two.
Anybody else need a pen? Yes.
Mr. May, there's not enough cards.
This room.
Anyone else need cards?
Press. They got another one.
We'll get you some more.
Pens are available if anyone needs them.
Joanne, this is your orientation.
So we need to have cards first.
Absolutely my fire. Is there a difference?
The new one needs
Yeah.
to be right.
New one had an E and an F, but took off the D. The new one has now
Got it.
have an E and an F and
Got
an
it.
back.
Got it.
You're lucky there wasn't a test.
I'm just glancing. You know, I hadn't put on my glasses. I would have seen that.
Does anyone else need comment cards?
I'm sorry, man.
My timer right here. 3 minutes.
Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
America.
Welcome, everybody.
And actually, you can do it.
We are going to move our agenda around a little bit to accommodate the folks that are here tonight. We're going to move our awards, recognitions, and celebrations down to right above the superintendent report. And I would like to move public comment up to right after our consent agenda, which we'll do next. Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Stacy, Mike, any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, because we've moved public comment to the beginning of our meeting, I just wanted to explain for those of you who are here who would like to comment, please complete one of the cards so that we'll know who you are. Joanne is our new secretary, and we'll help her immensely. We'd like you to stand, state your name. Your address is optional, and please include it in the card if you'd like. Please approach the podium, and you have 3 minutes or less. Anybody? Sir?
Should I tell that story?
Sorry, I'm trying to get up here.
It's okay, just before, I'm sorry, sir. So we will be timing the 3 minutes so that everybody has an adequate opportunity to speak.
Okay, sir, you can go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Bill Altamore. Good evening. I've been a teacher, I've been an administrator and a school board member involved in education for 35 years. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of Coach Fitzgerald. 5 of the best years of my life were spent here as Swartz Creek's football coach. I had a great time coaching him. I had a great time working with Mr. Fitzgerald. Is he brash? Is he bold? Yes. Is he caring? Is he understanding? Does he go beyond what normal teachers do sometimes for the students? Yes. I asked the school board and the administration to do a couple things. Return Mr. Fitzgerald to the classroom, put all these differences aside, pass your bond issue, and do what you do best from what I remember about Swartz Creek, and that's educating the students here at Swartz Creek. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd like to go.
My name is Ed Constable, and I am here in support of Sean Fitzgerald. Sean Fitzgerald was not only a coach to me when they moved me up when I was a freshman to play football. He trained me in the weight room from freshman all the way through senior year. He was a vital part of me being able to go play sports in college and get scholarship for stuff like that, and I would like the opportunity for other students, student athletes, to have the same opportunities that I had, because I know there's some other strength and conditioning teachers, so I just wanted to show my support for Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank
You have my card. My name is Joni Vetemar. I'm a Swartz Creek resident. I'm also a Kersley teacher. I taught for 31 years. I'm getting ready to retire next year because of the issues that Mr. Fitzgerald has faced. It is a tough job. I've taught alternative ed and credit recovery at the district for 15 years, credit alternative ed, and the last 3 years, half regular ed and credit recovery. It is a tough job. And when you have, it's just the changes at the state level with what we are expected to do as teachers, and then you're told at the same time, it's just, they're not going to support you as a teacher to do your job, and that's being tough on the kids, and having kids, like I've had kids just recently do what has happened to him, coming into my classroom from a different classroom and me telling them you need to be gone, and having no support on that. It's a job where it's like, it's hard to not be human and have that human part of you come through and just not be able to just react in the way that you do, and it's just, you know, sometimes you flip out, and that's part of being human. And I just ask this board that when you look at what has happened, that you take into consideration what that man has done. Not only did that man he has been just a pillar in this community as far as like being a phys ed teacher, but my son graduated in 2015. In the last 3 years, he was also diagnosed with cancer. And Sean helped him. He let him off on some things that probably he shouldn't have let him off on. But it was like he was very caring. I never met that man until my son had cancer. And I just ask that you give him consideration and that you think about what you're doing, because you're messing with that man's career, his livelihood, and what it is to be a teacher. And it's like, you know what? He's a human being. And face what he does on a daily basis, you would understand. You know, if somebody is doing what this young man did, it's hard to not react. And I just ask that you take that into consideration when you're making a decision about what his future is. Because this is a tough career, and they're losing good people because of just the state and everything. And I just thank you. Please, please, please take that in consideration.
My name is Renee Dunphy. I live at 5420 Winchell Drive, Swartz Creek, Michigan. I would like to say, and I still live there. I would like to say I was privileged to have Fitz as a teacher for my whole high school career there. Had him as a strength and conditioning coach and also a health teacher. Never met a guy like Fitz, even though he probably did get on my bad side at times. Still love the dude. Never seen actually a teacher does not get along with just athletes. He's got along with everybody. Just any student at school. He's literally just the role model of most students, and I would hate to see him let go, especially with a lot of parents I've talked to, especially when I have parents come at my store I work at Dunn's. We talk about the whole issue of this, and it's just, he honestly brings in, you don't understand how much he changed a lot of students' life over this. Like, he's literally the, I know I have enough, I'm trying to just go up in my head right now, but he's literally the guy of Creek. He's been here for how long, in this one little incident, stuff happens. That's all I can say is stuff happens. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Oh, there's a lot more people. That makes me nervous. My name's Sean Skurgan, and I've had a unique situation with Mr. Fitz. I actually was fortunate enough to have him as a coach in football and basketball at a previous school at Linden when I was in middle school, and you know, my family and myself hold him in very high regard. When he came to Swartz Creek, I transferred here my freshman year to continue being coached by him. To let you know, that was the only reason we were undefeated at Linden in football. So, as far as, you know, I don't know exactly what happened. I've heard different things, but please consider that there's no other position in the high school where a teacher has to push students physically and mentally, make them physically exert themselves to grunt and scream and break a sweat and walk that line to bring them back down so they can move on to the next class. And he has done this repeatedly with hundreds of students every single day for years, okay? And the stuff that the teachers have to deal with, my mother, my grandmother, my wife are all teachers. I don't envy them with the stuff they have to deal with. And I would ask that he's completely, fully reinstated, and there should be nothing on his record about this. I have nothing but respect for the guy, and I hope and I pray that my daughter ends up with a coach that is as passionate as he is, and with, you know, like the gal before me was saying, with you know, with him, this being one mess up. Mess ups do happen when you're passionate, and people might misinterpret things when you're passionate, and that's all it is with him. And that's whether he's teaching, that's whether he's coaching, whether you're his athlete or not.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
All right, that's all I have to say.
Hi, my name is Belinda Van Hees, and I've had 4 students come to Swartz Creek now. All of my children have had Mr. Fitz. My youngest one is a sophomore. Last year when he had Mr. Fitzgerald, my son was suffering from some severe anxiety. When it became a rough year, Mr. Fitzgerald reached out to my son and said, "Hey, I'm here for you. You can come to me anytime." He went above that. He went to the school, he went to the counselors. "Let me keep this kid another semester. I can help him. I can get him through this." I've never had a teacher do that before. And the school has worked with us. My son has Mr. Fitzgerald the second year because he feels like he has a friend, a confidant, and someone to look up to in this school. My son has been very distraught over this, and I think that any teacher that reaches out to a child who's struggling is a teacher you need to keep.
Fountain. I am a Swartz Creek alumni. I played basketball here last year, I believe so. Fitz is like a father figure to me. It's gonna make me emotional. He has gone above and beyond for me, and he has supported me since my freshman year in high school. He has been there for me whenever I needed him. I went straight to the gym, talked to him about all my problems, and he was there. He listened to everything. He had something to say back to whatever I had to say. He knew what to say, and he made everything okay for me. He came to most of my basketball games, and I would get on him about it, like, you didn't even come to the game, and he was like, I promise I'm gonna come to the next one. He made sure he was there, front row, just loud as he can be. He showed a way of tough love, and Fitz, as you can see, he's loved by many people. And Fitz is just a guy that kids just went to when they just needed someone to talk to. And he was just always there for me, and I appreciate him so much for the man he is and just how great he has made me. And he supports me even in college right now. He's been to a couple of my college games, and I know he's going to support me until I'm old and gray. And I really appreciate him, I really do. And I just hope you guys put this in consideration, because us kids, we need him. We really do.
Anyone else?
I would. To begin, I have an email from a former student athlete. I know we don't have enough time to read this, but I believe in the time we do have just to look over this would be helpful. I'd like to begin by saying my name is Brenner Phillips. I'm a current student athlete. I'm a junior at Swartz Creek High School. From the beginning of high school, my freshman year, Fitz came across as a strength and conditioning coach. You know, that was all to me. But throughout the year, he grew into something more than that. He grew into my friend. He grew into my friend and as my coach. My sophomore year, he kept pushing me. I came to the point where I wasn't sure about what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to play football. I didn't know if I wanted to continue lifting. He gave me motivation. He told me to keep going, don't stop. And my junior year, he decided to come over here and coach us in Swartz Creek football, the high school. And he didn't do it because he felt like, you know, he exchange program. He did it because he loved the students here. He loved the athletes, the football players, the basketball players, and also all the other athletes in the school. But he doesn't just love the athletes. He loves the bands, the people that may not have that many friends in school. He is their friend as well. He gives people the friends that people may not have friends. What I'm trying to say is, if you get rid of Fitz, you will not only be taking away a teacher, a coach, and a mentor, but you'll be taking away a friend. And not only to me, but for the remaining students at Swartz Creek High School. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tim Curtis. I live in Swartz Creek, 3230 Pine Run. Sean Fitzgerald would be a terrible loss, not only to this school, but to this community. I have two sons that have been impacted by Sean, and both of them speak very highly of Sean as a teacher and as a person. So if this community loses Sean Fitzgerald, they don't only lose a teacher, but they lose a very prominent person of this community, as you can see by all the people attending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. There's somebody else that wants to go ahead and fill us out.
My name is Matt Yockman. I was a student at Swartz High School for all 13 years. I actually just found out about this around noon, and I was already headed down. Fitz didn't even have to ask me to come down because, let alone me just being here just speaks for me, let alone everyone that showed up today, exactly what Sean Fitzgerald has done, not only for kids my age, but kids throughout since he started here in 2000. And Sean's the kind of guy that he doesn't care who you are or what you are, but if you want to better yourself, he's all about helping you. And there's a lot of things I've learned from Fitz. I started off as a little kid when my brother played football, and I was just like a 76-year-old water boy. So I've known Fitz for a very long time, and everything he's taught me, it still comes into play to this day. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with my professor. He's pretty big in sports psychology, and we were talking about this rule, the 70-30 rule. And that rule is about how your brain will sometimes play tricks on you because normally, once you use about 30% of your energy, your brain likes to tell you can't do stuff. And immediately I thought of Fitz, because that's really the biggest lesson I've learned from Fitz is he teaches you that you can actually do more than you're capable of. And when you see it, you get hooked. And the thing is, I think, I really don't think the question here today is really Sean Fitzgerald's integrity or his capability to do his job, because it's been nearly 20 years since he's been here. He's done nothing but better the kids he's taught, kids he's coached, people he's worked with. I honestly can't say I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about Sean Fitzgerald. But I think at the same time, I think we're asking the right questions. I just think we're looking in the wrong places, because the situation that happened is a situation that is growing and it's not going to go away. And I don't think Sean's integrity is in question. I think the question is the school board and is the administration, and this one in particular, are they properly equipping and preparing teachers, students for stuff like this that's not going to go away, or doesn't seem like it right now.
How long do we have?
3 minutes,
3 minutes.
Mr. Jones.
Hopefully I can get through this in 3 minutes.
I'm
For those
doing
of you
the
who know me,
timers.
that might not be possible. My name is Michael Patrick Jewell, or Coach Jewell, as many of you may know me. My address is 9111 Chesterfield Drive, Swartz Creek, Michigan. I've been a resident of Swartz Creek for 42 years at this address, and I have 3 adults who did most, if not all, of their schooling and education here before going on to college. And I am also a 1981 graduate of Swartz Creek High School. I've also coached at Swartz Creek for at least 15 years. I say all this not to brag by any means, but to show or let it be known my dedication to the knowledge of this community and this school system, as well as the students and faculty over many years. With that said, I have come tonight to show my support for Mr. Sean Fitzgerald, Coach Fitz, or Fitz as many of you know him. It is my understanding that Fitz is being possibly coerced or coaxed or to resign, or possibly losing his position here at Swartz Creek due to a situation or altercation involving a student. I will not address any specifics of that situation, as I was not there. I have not seen video, talked to all of those involved, and therefore I do not feel appropriate to voice an opinion. I will, however, voice an opinion of the character, passion, and work ethic of Mr. Fitzgerald. As with approximately 15 years of knowing him, I feel qualified to give an opinion and have knowledge of that. I've seen or know of Coach Fitz work with students and student athletes both, everywhere he's coached and through his teaching at Swartz Creek. He is someone who is supportive both while these students are at Swartz Creek and after they graduate. I know this firsthand with my son Jacob, who graduated in 2004, and I'm confident, as you already have, hear that from many current and former students and many here tonight, and through email. Speaking as someone who I feel and I hope is respected for his honesty and character himself, I fully support Mr. Fitzgerald and vouch for his character and passion
and his love for the students at Swartz Creek and the Swartz Creek School District as a whole. I would like to read a few quotes about coaches and then give some closing remarks.
You have 47 seconds.
Okay.
I only spoke for a minute and a half. You can have my other minute and a half.
We want to hear
I'm sorry, but I'd like to keep it to 3 minutes to keep it
Okay.
fair. And I appreciate you.
The quotes were pertaining to coaching and why we coach. But in closing, I would like to say that in consideration of the bond proposal that we're looking to do, the need for teachers, especially good ones, as we see posted on our signage and on the yard signs throughout the community, and most of all, the impact Mr. Fitzgerald has with students and student athletes, that you decide to retain him here at Swartz Creek at full capacity and give him more education or training where you feel needed or it is felt necessary, and let us all benefit from him still being an educator and mentor here at Swartz Creek High School.
Alright, my name's Noah Calque. I'm a former student here at Creek. I'm a freshman, and it's my first year here, and first year meeting Fitz. He's my coach and also my teacher. I'd just like to say that he has helped me through so much. He's helped me become a better person, a better athlete, a better student. And of all this time that I've known him, I haven't seen him or heard of him doing anything wrong or do anything bad. All I've seen is him help students and just help non-athlete people just get through hard situations and everything. And I know this is short, but all I ask is that just don't get rid of him, because getting rid of him is just going to tear a lot of us apart. That's all I have to say.
You should have my card. My name is Jamie Atherton. Alright, I had to write this down because I don't want to go off on a tangent. But my name is Jamie Atherton. I have 4 children in the Swartz Creek Community Schools from elementary, middle to high school. I'm also an educator in the Mount Morris School District, teaching alternative high school and adult ed. I'm coming to you this evening from both the perspective of a parent in the district and a fellow educator. There have been a few situations recently which have piqued my interest. I will not get into too many details on all the situations, as a few of them have already been resolved. The reason for my comments tonight is to address the incident surrounding Mr. Fitzpatrick, who I will refer to as Mr. Fitz or Coach Fitz going forward, and the rumors surrounding his potential removal from the district. My son has Mr. Fitz as a teacher this year. He's also here tonight. He enjoys his class, and there seems to be a mutual level of respect between them. During parent-teacher conferences with Mr. Fitz, it became quite clear the compassion he has for his job and his students. He spent time explaining to me the plan for the year and why he had such high expectations for the students and why he held them to that level. As a parent and an educator, this speaks volumes to me. I thought he may have just been putting on a show for me because it was parent conferences and all that. But my communications with Mr. Fitz, both email and verbally, have been always timely and always nothing but professional. He listens to my son, and he genuinely seems to care about his well-being as a student and an athlete. This is the type of teacher I want my kids to have. This is the type of teacher who students feel comfortable going to when they need advice, and this is the type of teacher we should all want for our kids. I am proud to say that Mr. Fitz is my child's teacher. I'm looking forward to having him back in the classroom soon. My concerns as a parent and educator come from the perspective of the incident in question. I know there are privacy laws, so I will not speak to specifics. However, we all know there was an incident that happened at school on a Friday in February involving Mr. Fitzpatrick and a student. I'm sure all the board members are very well aware of the many sections and subsections of the Michigan Revised School Code, specifically 380.1312. I can honestly say I have been in a similar situation involving a student. If this student wouldn't have been restrained or subdued by Mr. Fitzpatrick, what may have happened to one of our students? This is a safety issue, and I know protocol probably says to call appropriate personnel, but sometimes things happen. The rumor is there is more to this incident. However, I'm very skeptical about the things I've heard based on personal experiences with Mr. Fitz and my own child. The removal of Mr. Fitz will do nothing but to set a very, very unhealthy precedent in this district. Without saying it, students have already been heard saying that teachers have no control because they do anything or can say anything wrong, and the student accuses the teacher of wrongdoing, true or otherwise, the teacher will be fired. And this, Mr. Minka, I feel like we are just breeding anarchy. In closing, Mr. Minka, there are many parents, myself included, who are very interested and intrigued by this potential new bond proposal and all of the changes I'm sorry, Ms.
being made in the
Anderson, your
district.
time is up. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Derek Biesinger. I'm a senior at Swartz Creek High School. Now, I never had Coach Fitz before for anything. I never knew the guy until senior year. When I came into senior year, I never really cared much about working out, staying in shape, nothing. I didn't care. I had a lot of anxiety dealing with that. Nothing really mattered to me. I could barely show up for school. And one day, as I'm shooting hoops, I hadn't gotten dressed in a week for strength. Fitz pulled me aside and asked me how I was doing. He wanted to see if I was okay, what's going on and stuff. And, you know, I've never had a teacher do that for me before. Never have I ever had someone, from that point on, he wasn't a teacher to me. He became like a mentor to me. He was my friend. He, pushed me to do stuff. I remember I couldn't lift as much as other people in strength. And, he kept pushing me. He's like, come on, Beeson, you do it. You can do it. When I finally got there, I started motivating other people. He helped me. He helped me get to this. I'm feeling better. I'm actually enjoying school. And ever since he's, hasn't been coming, I've been trying to push other students to work out as much as I did. As much as I do, motivate people. Trying to do what Fitz would do. I miss the guy. And I hope one of these days I can see him again and shake his hand. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My voice tends to elevate. Just so you know. I'm not yelling at you. I babysat Fitz when he was 2 years old. So I've known him for a long time. He's a man of passion, character, integrity. You've heard character, integrity, and passion by other people in here. So there's got to be something said about those three words. He's also a thermostat. He's not a thermometer. A lot of teachers come in, it doesn't matter what school district you're in. They come in, it's their day, I'm going to do my job. It's beyond a job for Fitz. Okay. He cares about kids. He's passionate about kids. Come here, Sean. I'll be within my 3 minutes. You just tell me. Him and I coached this young man together, Sean Skirt. Okay? I'm not going to pick on anybody. No, let's say this young man here. This young man came from Detroit. Okay? This young man here. On the football team, look, okay? College football material and player. Fitz, now any coach, they'd be salivating. Yes, I'm going to help him get next up. This young man, he didn't play football for us, but this young man here is on the team in a Swartz Creek uniform, and all he does is chew a mouthpiece. This young man that chews a mouthpiece is just as important as this young man to Fitz. Fitz will go over and say, hey, how you doing today? How you doing today? And he knows his role on the team is just chewing the mouthpiece. Same thing within his classes. Kids that he has to push. You don't have to look at this body. He don't have to push that man to live. Look at this body. He's got to push this man to live. Okay? But what I'm telling you is his passion does not stop here and does not stop here. He has beautiful children. Those children are going to be excellent adults someday because of the character and integrity that their father has. Now, Mr. Superintendent, I would surely want to have a man like that in my school for all the kids to come to. Doesn't matter if he teaches them or not. Coach Fitz's door is open to everybody. Please keep his job. Thank you.
follow that, I'm Lisa Naraki, and this is Coach's beautiful child that he just spoke of, Addison. And she's not a prop. She's here to humanize Mr. Fitzgerald. We had this child, we're not married. We've been taking care of our daughter together for the last, well, my helper, if you will, in raising this daughter. And he has taught me so much about children, about kids, about integrity, about character, about passion. I'm passionate. That's probably why. But we made a baby together, and we're not together as lifelong partners. But I can stand back and I can look at him with such respect and such, I cannot speak enough of him, and I'm proud of that. And I look around and I thank all of you for being here today to support Coach Fitzgerald, his family, mentors, peers, kids, all of you. Thank you so much for coming. And do keep in mind, like the one gal said, he's a human being. He has a life. He has worked 20 years for one situation that happened. And quite frankly, I feel horrible for that young man as much as I feel horrible for what happened to Sean. And I ask you to dig deep inside yourself and understand that there's so much to him that lives in this young lady and another daughter he has, and to know that he has so much more to do and so much more to give. And I hope you will give him that opportunity, and also so that this doesn't sit on the young man, because there's two people at stake here, not just Mr. Fitzgerald. There's two people. So please keep that in mind as you make your decisions. And I thank you all again. Thank you so much.
My name is Galen Stone. I'm a graduate of Swartz Creek 2006. Sean Fitzgerald, I had the luxury of playing for him here at Swartz Creek. And I'll tell you, just based off some accomplishments in my career, playing for greats like Jay Gruden and Denny Green, who passed away, I would tell you, best coach I played for, hands down, was Sean Fitzgerald. So those guys are NFL coaches, and I'll tell you, the most passionate coach I've ever played for was Sean Fitzgerald. This guy cares about kids, and he will push you to be better every day. So when I talk about Sean, I just get emotional a little bit that I even had to come here to talk about this, because the guy cares about kids every day. He cares about pushing kids. And a perfect example, like we said, me and Sean both played for him. Me and Sean both had the opportunity to play college. Me and Sean both had the opportunity to go to college and not have to pay for it. And that's only one reason. That's Sean Fitzgerald. So he's our football coach. He was our mentor. He took us under his wing. He always called us when we was in school, make sure we were all right, make sure we stay eligible, and all that type of stuff going on through college. So I would tell you, the guy is more than just a teacher. He's more than just a coach. He's somebody that I want on my side. He's somebody I want on my team. And it breaks my heart a little bit that I got a media notice that this was going on. But I'll tell you, don't let one incident define Sean Fitzgerald, because he's got thousands. He's got thousands of good, but it's one bad incident that happened. So for me, I just wanted to come up here and speak on behalf of me knowing Sean and me playing for Sean and me learning from Sean, and Sean always checking up on me, getting me through college, getting me to where I need to get to, and then pushing my career after. So I just want to say thanks to Sean Fitzgerald. I know he's not here, but I want to say thank you, because he's the reason I am what I am today.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Monroe. I am not currently a resident of Swartz Creek, and it's for that reason that I'm here tonight. Superintendent Manka, President Germain, trustees, you have a difficult job. I've spent a number of years both as a trustee and the president of the school board. The jobs that you've signed up for, quite frankly, are more often than not thankless jobs. They're very difficult, they're time consuming, and they're not easy. And you don't get a big paycheck either, by the way. So I will thank you for your commitment to the Swartz Creek schools, although I don't currently have kids in the district. Well, what I will say is, for 12 years, I have known Coach Fitzgerald. Coach Fitzgerald has interacted with my 5 children for the past 12 years. And in that 12 years, I have seen nothing but discipline passion, integrity exuding from every pore within that man's body. I would ask you as a board, again recognizing that you have a difficult job. As I understand it, the school board's job is to interpret, understand policies and procedures, and then implement those decisions within your district. You do have a certain amount of latitude. I would ask you to exercise that latitude and do what's right for the people that are in this room, because I think what you've heard is the body of work that's been produced by this gentleman is amazing. I would ask you to take that under advisement as you consider the future of Coach Fitzgerald and his involvement in the school district for one reason and one reason only. This district is a better product, creates better students as a result of Coach Fitz being here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julia Jones. I graduated in 2016. I currently live in Swartz Creek. I've had the honor to have Coach Fitz as a strength and conditioning teacher all through my senior year. He always pushed me to be great, and I've always been into athletics, so he helped me, and was along with the track coaches too, pushed me into going to the state meet for pole vault. That was always my goal, and he helped me through it. I have always had him for 6 hours too, so I would come there. He'd like have a workout for the students and then have a separate workout for me. He's like, I want to make sure you walk out of here sore, and I want to make sure you walk out of here better than you were yesterday. So I've always been grateful for that. He's always pushed me. We've always had conversations, good, bad days. I just always can trust him in that. And especially everybody else here, he's always pushed everyone. I've walked in, you know, when he's working out with all the girl teachers, he's always pushing them. That just warms my heart. And then there's other times too where he'll have a workout throughout the whole community, even at the weight room. I'll just walk in, there's people from different towns or just from the community coming, and he just will push them, no other, putting everybody to the same limits, making sure everybody puts in the same percent, no matter your size, whatever. He makes sure everybody's pushing 100%. And getting rid of him, you're just giving away everybody's chance of being great. So that's all I have to say.
Hi there. My name is Chrissy Packer, and I do not live in Swartz Creek anymore either. But I did live here for 16 years, and I worked for the district for 16 years. And I worked with Sean for, I just left about a year ago, but I worked with Sean for the 7 years before that. And I would just like to say that he is an amazing teacher. We've heard so much about the coach and everything, but as a coworker, he's a great coworker. He would stay after work and help the secretaries and the teachers work out. He would help us get better as well as the kids. He was always there for the kids. And he was kind of in a tough spot because those classes are the classes where a lot of kids just get put into because there's nowhere else for them to go. And I think that gets overlooked a lot. A lot of kids who roam the halls and never go to class end up in that classroom, and he helps them, he talks with them. He sometimes has to kick the kids out because they disrupt the class, but he even does that in a loving way. In the 7 years that I worked there, there was never an instance that he was not a stand-up man. He's just a very good man, and I would ask that you let him go back to work.
I'm Kelly Paulson. I'm from Swartz Creek. I have 2 sons who are juniors that attend Swartz Creek High School. I also have 3 daughters, 2 of whom are teachers. And you've already heard by a lot of people today all the lives that he has touched. He touched all these children's lives. And if all the children's lives that he touched could have been here, you wouldn't have even had room in your high school. You've heard about his character. You've heard that from everyone else. But he's been through enough. But how do teachers protect themselves? I have two teachers. Two of my daughters are teachers. How do they protect themselves? Yes, you've trained a group of people to take care, let him keep getting hit, or worse yet, a small female teacher in the process of being raped. Oh, she's got to wait for the person you trained to go into that scene. They can't do anything, they can't touch anybody. Or are the teachers supposed to protect themselves? Like Mr. Donald Trump says, put a gun in the classroom. How much better is that? Who are you going to train for that? You need to train all your teachers. If you want them trained so that they know exactly how to diffuse a situation in a specific way, you need to train them all, not a small portion. You cannot allow the teachers to get hurt. I know you're here to protect our children, but who's here to protect the teachers? Who is it? We are. But who else is there to protect the teachers? You know, they both need protecting. You're going to set a precedence today on what the teachers in Genesee County and maybe even further out are allowed to do. You can't allow some of the children in the school. I know these boys would not be them boys that did it, but you're going to get some roughhouse boys that are just going to run around and abuse teachers in schools. This today is going to be a precedent. You're going to set it. You're going to go down in history. Swartz Creek has been on the news more doggone times than any other Genesee County school in just the last few months, you know, with all that's going on. This is a precedent. He's already been punished enough. And until you have all walked in a teacher's shoes, I don't really feel that you have the right to make this judgment today. That's all.
My name is Mary, and I know Sean very well. I've known him since he was born. And I was told not to talk tonight, but I cannot sit there. I am so old he's getting, and he's wanted to be a teacher since he was a little boy. And when we talk about jobs, Mom, I've got the best job in the whole world. Couldn't do anything else. I love my kids. And it's heartbreaking for me to see this. And I come from a family of, I have 2 children that are teachers. My husband's family were teachers. My sisters and brothers were all teachers. And I'm thinking also about all the teachers all around the United States that are starting to be in this position with all these killings. I hate to say that, but teachers have to make a decision in a split second. It doesn't matter right now how they do it. Yes, they need to be trained on the rules about how to do it. But when you're thinking, and when you're looking to the side and seeing this little female student who might not be able to protect herself, which he knows, and that's going in his mind. And it just happened that this situation happened after the 17 killings. And I'm sure a lot of teachers were affected by that. And they're thinking, well, is this going to be my school? Are we next? How did he know if this kid didn't have a knife or a gun on him? And he was where he wasn't supposed to be. He cared about this kid. And he has nothing bad to say about him right now, or his mother and father. And his, I can't get into it. I can't get into his side and his feelings deep down. When he was a little boy, all his buddies, 7 to 10, 12 years old, most kids would be outside playing in the winter, and all his little friends in the neighborhood, were all in the house watching TV. Sean would go over to their houses when he saw their dads outside, and he would talk to the dads, and he would get a shovel and shovel with the dad. And I had so many parents tell me, I can't believe he does this. Why would he, I mean, and he likes people. He loves his kids. We hear it all the time. We hear all kinds of stories. Sean spent many a time talking to that boy, and he tried to help him. And I don't know what happened to turn that, but it did. But I just, it's in his soul to work as a teacher.
I'm sorry, ma'am, your time is
Okay,
up.
thank you.
I did, I'm sorry, I tried to say it.
Hello, my name is Natalie Fox. My daughter Christina Zerka was actually in that classroom that day, and I had both of my daughters texting me while I was at work of all the goings-on that were happening at school. And as a parent, I'm sure you guys can all attest, that is the scariest thing, to have your children texting you from school if they're in lockdown or there's something going on and you can't get in, you can't be there to help to save your kids. I will say, after talking to my daughter, I thank Sean for what he did. I'm so glad that he handled the threat, because that's what it was. He handled the threat and he removed it from the classroom away from my daughter. So I commend him for that. I didn't see the videotape. I don't know the policy of the school, but I did hear the kid was back in school after a couple days, and I was disgusted to find out that
Thank
he
you.
is not
Thank
back in. I don't know the young man. I'm not here to bash him, but the issue is what he did. I don't think the issue is how Mr. Fitz handled it. So that's my voice. And Sean on a personal level from the gym, and they've always been great people. They come in Sean comes in with his students, and he's very compassionate about helping them. And I mean, I obviously don't have to say that. Everyone here is saying that about him. But anyway, thank you for hearing me out.
Is there anybody else? Okay.
Hello, my name is Bill Pudell, and I was recently a coach here at Swartz Creek. I spent the last 15 years trying to keep kids in Swartz Creek schools, much like Sean Fitzgerald. And although I'm no longer involved with the program, I could have been disgruntled, but when I heard what happened to Sean, I just want to come in and share a couple stories. I remember the first time when he said he was coming from Lake Fenton, and he stepped into the room with all of the players and the coaches, and he started to cry. And he said, I had to leave my best friend at Lake Fenton. I had to make the hardest decision I've ever made to come here, but I know it was the right one. I'll never forget that. He earned a lot of my respect that day. You also might have seen me on the sidelines on Fridays holding Coach Fitz back from getting on the field. That's where you might have seen me before. You don't find that every day. It's different than it was before. Kids haven't changed, parents have changed, but the things that we have to deal with on a regular basis and what Sean's had to deal with, I will say, I looked at Sean and said, I see a lot of myself in Sean and a lot of Sean in me. And I got to tell you, I had a lot of respect for that, because passion, and it's been said many times here, is one of the key things to triggering those things within a person that drives them from being average or being great. It's this much. The difference between greatness and being average is that much, and Sean knows how to bring that out. I wanted to come here and just speak on behalf of Sean. After I found out, I called him and I said, you know, I may be disgruntled with the way I was treated, but you know what, Sean? I'm going to pray for you, and I know where your heart's at, and I know where you're going. And I know his intention was the same as mine, to keep kids in Swartz Creek. Thank you.
If you don't have any more forms for Ed Spell, 5193 Walkabout Lane, Swartz Creek, Michigan.
5193 Walkabout Lane. That's here in Swartz Creek. I'm a retired police officer, retired basketball coach, worked here at Swartz Creek for several years, worked in Grand Blanc for several years, worked downriver, worked at Detroit Police Department for several years as well as being a liaison officer for the Taylor School District when I was an officer there. All I've seen from kids these days, I don't know what happened. Again, I haven't seen the video. I know Sean. I've watched the decline of these kids and what the respect that they have towards our elders. I also am a business owner in this area. I spoke with a former teacher here from Swartz Creek doing an estimate at their house the other day, and he says the same thing. We haven't changed as adults. These kids are becoming more disrespectful. You can't get good teachers in here anymore. The problem is because of situations like this. I have a young daughter, and I'm on the verge of trying to figure out where I want to send my kid to school. There's a former coach here also that lives in my neighborhood. We're trying to figure out where to send our kid to school. We want to come here to Swartz Creek. However, when stuff like this happens, I don't want my child around this environment. Sean did something to eliminate a situation that should have been eliminated way before that. I've watched kids in this school get bullied. They can't return, can't do anything back because everybody gets suspended. I watched one of our great athletes years ago get picked on every day in the hallway, every day. And our school sat there and watched it happen. Our teachers had to sit by and watch. Is it wrong? Probably. But you know what? He fought back because he's tired of it. Our teachers have to stand up for themselves. At what point are we going to allow these kids to continue to push and push and push the envelope? What it's going to do is it's going to get people like me that have young children to send our kids away from here. At this point, my child, and I'm going to tell you, the other people in my neighborhood who have young children, and we have several teachers in our neighborhood, and we've said, once they are out of those teachers' first grade, second grade, we're done. I'll send my kid to Grand Blanc. I'll send my kid to Powers. I'll spend the $12,000 a year to send my kid to Powers before I send him here right now. Because what is going on is you are allowing situations like this to happen. This shouldn't happen. This meeting shouldn't be about Sean. This meeting should be about why is that kid back in school right now? I look at the board, and maybe one or two of you aren't old enough to remember back when we were kids. I promise you this, if you did it when we were kids, you would have got whipped right there in the school. You would have got put into a locker, but now we can't do that anymore. And I understand that. That might be pushing the limits.
I'm sorry, sir, your time is up.
Okay. But what I understand also is the fact that but what's going on is we are trying some guy that's been giving his life to this community, that's been giving his life to do everything for kids in this area, not in Swartz Creek, everywhere in this area. Everywhere. I was here 25 years ago before I went and became a police officer. That man was helping kids outside of Swartz Creek.
Sir,
he is one of the best. I know. He is one of the best teachers you have in this area, and I promise you, if you keep losing these good teachers, you're going to lose people.
That's
like
right, you will. Yes, you will.
Crap is what it is.
Alright, my name's Hunter Mofield. I attend Swartz Creek High School and I'm in the 11th grade. And Coach Fitz came to me around June of last year. I really didn't have any interest in playing football or working out at all, really. And he convinced me to finally play. And growing up real young, I really didn't have a father figure in my life. And he kind of, stepped in, and throughout the summer when I was, struggling, he pretty much was my dad, and I know he made a bad decision, but he's told us, football players and everybody in his strength class that weren't football players that he's helped out, that he was the doctor and he was going to eliminate the cancer, and he did what he did. He did what he could do to help everybody out as a whole, and it's got to happen. So that's all I had to say about Coach Fitz.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Luke Lloyd, and I am a member of the community and a longtime colleague and coach. I coached alongside Fitz for a few years here while I was at Swartz Creek with the basketball team, and have developed a relationship over the years with him. I'm surprised that I have to be here to support him, but I'm willing to get way out of my comfort zone in front of all these people and express my respect for Fitz as a person, as a friend, as a teacher. Every time I'm around him, I feel better than I did when I got to him, and I'm a pretty positive person. I feel like he's had a positive influence on obviously multiple people in this community, and I feel it's an insult to mankind that we are not defending, that the support system here at the school is not defending him more in this situation. The kid is already back in school. I'm hearing the kid is back in school. I'm surprised by that, obviously. The threats that are going around. Instead of trying to cultivate and kind of develop the relationship a little better between maybe Fitz and him, we're sitting in here trying to fight, and he's fighting for his job. And that's a surprise. But I wanted to come and give my voice, and I know you've heard from a lot of people, and a lot of people here respect him, but I wanted to make sure that my voice was heard. I'm a member of the community. My kids go to school here. I live around the block, and like Brad said, I'm questioning whether I want my kids to be in an environment where good teachers like Fitz and others that I've heard have been pushed out. Yeah, almost in a way where it's like we don't want the good teachers here. So my voice is heard, and hopefully it helps, but I appreciate your time.
Hi, my name is Olivia Hughes. Just for Coach Fitz, I wanted to say just a couple words on behalf of his character. I had him freshman year for a strength and conditioning coach, and he's been there. I've had gym ever since then, but I had it with Miss T. But even though he's not part of my class, he still motivates the girl class. He still pushes the guys to be their best every single day. I play on the Swartz Creek softball team, and he has a daughter that plays softball, and he's always asking me questions about how the team's doing. He genuinely cares about what's going on in our lives and how he can be not only a motivator but like a support system for all of us here in Swartz Creek. He's a light to this school, and when he left or got suspended, I quite frankly don't know what for. I wasn't really a part of it, but I know that a lot of not only just like the strength classes but the school in general kind of just felt a little bit more dragging on, like almost everybody was going through the motions of everyday life, where when he comes to the school you feel the sense of light, you feel the sense of like, it's almost like a adrenaline kick where you're like, okay, I want to do this, I can do this, I can tackle the day, I can tackle every day, because I know that at least one person in the school is going to fight for me no matter what. And that's all I really wanted to say.
My name is Sherry Biesinger. I live in Swartz Creek. Mr. Manka, I had talked to you right after this happened. I'm not going to slam this kid. Hopefully he can turn his life around. But what I will say is you kept telling me in this instance I was wrong in what I had heard. What about all the instances leading up to that moment? Why wasn't Mr. Fitz backed up when this kid continuously went to his room? That's right. My kids have this child in other classes. He's disruptive in every single class. Why is that not stopped? Yes. Why are we allowed to treat teachers so disrespectfully and so rotten, yet they're in school every single day? I don't get it. I would, like the one lady said, we need to back up our teachers, protect our teachers. These kids need to know they cannot do this anymore. And at the parent-teacher conference, Mr. Fitz said to me, I don't do this for money, I do it because I love these kids, I love my job. If you have the ability to keep him, please do it and set the precedent that these kids can't act like this anymore, and we back our teachers. Thank you.
anybody else?
I'll speak. Ran out of cards, so. Can I tell you? All right, Ted Alessi, 7096, William John Court, Swartz Creek. I'll fill the card out in one minute. I'll be short. Teacher in Linden for 22 years. We lost Mr. Fitzgerald. He transferred here 17 years ago. Linden's loss, Swartz Creek's gain. Okay, but I'm happy for Mr. Fitzgerald. As Mrs. Paulson said, we've been in the news a lot of bad publicity. Okay, and we're losing kids. Okay, between the bad publicity and the standards-based grading at the middle school level, we're losing kids. That's a fact. Projected dates bringing Mr. Fitzgerald back is June 13th. I say bring him back April 13th.
There you go.
Hi, my name is John Sayer. I'm in 11th grade, and I have Fitz as a teacher and a friend. I don't know about most of these people, but I hate that I have to be here right now to defend him. I find it embarrassing that I have to be here to defend him, because he did nothing wrong. I find it very sad that a man so passionate, so kind, and so genuine is even having to be defended. Fitz was standing up for himself, and frankly, it's hard for teachers to have to do that. You know, Fitz went home that night, and it was going through his head the whole time. I want Fitz back. Most of these people do. I ask you to bring him back. I ask you to bring him back soon, very soon. Please. Please.
My name is Caleb Tilley. I graduated in 2015 from Swartz Creek. I've known Fitz since I was in the 6th grade. My brother was actually a troublesome kid, and Fitz was one of the people that was able to rein him in, show him a guide, show him somebody that he could be. And once I got to the school, me and Fitz obviously knew each other already, and he did the same thing for me. I mean, I wasn't the same person my brother was, but he motivated me to be the best person that I could be. I know for a fact that he could make a lot more money than he is teaching. He doesn't do it though because he loves his kids. He loves to be there for people. He's the kind of person that would have your back no matter what, you know? Like everyone else here that said, I don't think I should even be here today. I'm not going to speculate on what happened because I wasn't there, but from everything that I've heard, the man was just defending himself and doing what he thought was right for his class. That's really all I have to say. I hope you guys find it in your heart to see that and reinstate Mr. Fitzgerald as fast as you can.
Hi, I'm Addison. I'm Sean's daughter. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who's come. It just shows how amazing my dad is. And my dad is the most passionate, charismatic person on this planet. He would do anything for anyone. And it hurts to see him go through this like this. He's done so much for Swartz Creek, and this is what he gets in return. I mean, it's so unfair. He's done everything he can possibly do as a person to just help kids. And my younger sister Lainey, she's only 2.5 and I'm only 13, but in that short period of time he has done so much as a father and a friend and everything. He is amazing. I mean, he puts 100% effort into everything he does. And growing up, the only person I'd rather be is my dad. He's shown so much love to everyone and everything he does. And I just want you to consider bringing him back, because losing him would tear so many hearts apart, not just in the school, but families. I mean, all these kids, he's put so much love into everyone's heart. I mean, he's created such a good relationship with everyone he's met. I mean, everyone has so much respect for him. And I just want you to consider that, because losing my dad at Swartz Creek anywhere would just break it apart. Piece by piece. Thank you.
I originally wasn't going to speak. My name is Joshua Smith. I'm a senior currently at Swartz Creek. I never thought I'd actually be at Swartz Creek. I went to Carmen all my life. I thought it was kind of needed that I should probably speak out. These situations kind of happen quite a bit at Carmen, and it's kind of heartbreaking that I have to relate that situation to the ones that have happened at Carmen as well, being that's the type of stuff I tried to escape. I came to Swartz Creek, and it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, honestly. I couldn't have asked for a better school to come to, and to see that a teacher like that kind of gets taken away from such a great community, it's hard, honestly. This kind of stuff never would have happened at Carmen. People wouldn't have stood up for a teacher. In my situation, I was an art teacher that got antagonized by students and stuff and lied to the school board to get her fired because they just didn't like her. I mean, that kind of goes through my mind that I think we're better than that. Going through my whole high school years, I think it'd just be pretty hard just to see someone like that go. And I know so many people that come from Carmen. I see them, a lot of familiar faces, to escape the same thing I did. I just hate to see that they kind of would rethink the thought about coming back over here and going back there. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to mention you're very patient. You've been standing
My name is Musla. Most people call me Mo. And I studied for high school for 2 years, junior and senior. Just to let you know, guys, I'm from a different country, from Yemen. And I would like to say, without Mr. Fitz, I would have improved my language. I would have speak English. I would have have many friends, like most people I know over here. You know. And I would like to say, I had a problem with my chest. I didn't even tell my family about it. That makes me, I didn't even just hear me out. I couldn't even play soccer because of that, and my soccer was just like a dream for me. It's like my life, and because of that, I couldn't play. I didn't tell my family because they're gonna let me stop playing it. But I told Mr. Fitz about it because I trust him and I love him more than my family. And actually, he helped me for the past 2 years, and not even just in school. He spent a lot of time with me out of school and inside school. And I hope you guys make the right decision, and thank you for all of you.
My name is Susan Sayer. I didn't intend to talk, but there's a couple of things that I feel need to be said. I couldn't give you a first-hand account or character reference for Mr. Fitz. I think there's plenty here that have already done that. What I can do is beg you. I have students in the high school. They are fourth-generation Swartz Creek students. So we love this community. Please protect our teachers. What happens tomorrow? If you let Fitz go, every single one of your teachers
is going to come to work in a hostile work environment where they do not feel that their administration is protecting them. I also ask you, beg you, to think long term for the student that was involved. If you fire Fitz, that student's going to have that guilt forever as an adult, looking back and thinking about the career that he ruined or had a piece or a hand in ruining. So please, it's not just Fitz. It's all of your teachers. It's your community. It's the student involved. The right decision is to bring Mr. Fitz back immediately.
Have we heard from everybody that wanted to speak? I'm not hearing anybody else. All right, I appreciate all of you being here tonight. It's obvious that you all are very passionate. What I'd like to do is take a 5-minute break and allow you to leave if you'd like. It's getting a little warm in here. And then we will reconvene the meeting. So thank you very much for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
So it says here, negotiations. And then, yeah. Probably this I know we're going to kind of raise I'd like to see big picture.
I was all the way back. Sorry.
That's good. Thank you. I just remember how Coach had such an impact. The good ones were very rare. 40 years later, 50 years later, I still talk to my coaches that I remember had such an impact on me. Just listening to them, I would hate to see them go.
Pass that down and enjoy it.
I would too. I would too. It's all right.
I got your first
But I also, and you know what it's like because it makes that decision. Sometimes you did sometimes you didn't do enough. The guy got away or somebody got hurt because I don't think people I know. We're putting our money back in the class. Well, right now it's not worth it. We didn't.
I might say something wrong.
I like the turnout.
Buy your boot, Brian.
I was wondering what you were.
Only because my phone's not. I know it. I'm like,
I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
And now.
Okay.
So on your first.
Yeah. This is what I thought.
It's air conditioning, right?
You got it.
Put that in the proposal. Oh, no, that's How are you doing? Good. How are you? I knew it was going to be full when I got to the park. I told my son, I'll take you up there, but it's going to be packed. That's good. Just needed an addition on that. Air conditioning.
Are you staying here?
I don't think so.
Will you tell the superintendent? Thank you for letting everybody stay. That was so nice.
I wish we had a bigger room.
Yeah, it was good.
A better room.
It's been a good day for the middle school. Would have been the assigned day. Makes it.
All you guys, thank you.
Makes it easy.
So you were in the
So how you like the ride so far? That's a beautiful area.
Tell your dad everybody said hi. I will, bye.
Try an extra.
I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen after this break.
He's out on the agenda. You know, backside to it also.
This is the first time you've met. You guys meet on a month-to-month basis, kind of?
Most of the time, twice a month. Depends on the need. Because of the, the Easter break, the spring break. Last meet I think was in March 14th.
So you were like that. Oh no.
We moved the agenda around so that people could,
Is anything going to be decided tonight?
No, it's not on that.
Do you know a timeline?
I do not. Mr. Michael would timeline. I don't have any
Well, that's nice. In fact, brother and I and sister, we were playing at church down there. Well, we were at the Heartland. Terry Prince.
Tony, I'm sorry, I didn't call you back. I got your message late. I was in meetings all day.
I was
I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I'm good.
I called Ben while I was eating my lunch dinner.
Terry saw my brother and I in Virginia.
I did it yesterday, breakfast, lunch, and
Like-
dinner, one meal.
At Venture.
My lunch dinner.
No, we just talked about this past week.
I don't like these words.
Getting out on vacation, trying to get away.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get I did go and sign up.
Oh, he did?
Everything in all the stuff that I got bought, everything in my screen, like, hey, you want that again? You want that again? I'm like,
Yeah, because everything's already bought.
right, already bought. It's already on my profile. I'm like, man. lot of Snickers. I never in my life.
Is that what he's doing? Laugh?
Nice area. Well, you know, I got a since they built that bench church.
That's okay.
It's been probably a couple years since I played on that church.
Oh, no.
Like 4 hours a week. Yeah, and then the day before, and of course I'm up here. It's my first time.
Right, but still, you're doing a good job, and then you're on the school board. You do have a job.
Well, 25 years and then 5 years.
I didn't even say
You're telling me to behave when Steve, you telling me to behave?
Listen, I gotta have some laughter.
You better talk to Carrie about that.
Hey, you too, Tony, start me.
Carrie, you better settle your child down.
I gotta have some fun going on here. Gosh, I lost it. Sorry. I didn't see any of you crying.
So did you retire from police? Yeah, I started in Detroit, retired from Taylor. Retired 4 years ago.
How many years did you work?
18.
You got it early.
Yeah.
Three of us here are retired cops.
From where?
I had to throw it out there.
City of Flint.
I did. I said I'm sorry.
I'm like Forrest.
Yeah. Wouldn't want to do it again, eh?
There's a season for everything.
It's funny, I just had a kid, actually had a Greek kid that just graduated college in Oakland. Says, what do I do, coach? I said, the best option in the world is go to the federal government, you got a guaranteed pension, you do what you want to do, you work 20, I tell every kid now, you know what, we'll do 4 years in the military, every department lets you buy that time. You go there 18, you're out
The
of
benefits from the military are incredible.
You're done at 22, you can buy those 4 years wherever you go.
Well, I think it'll give good experience, good training, and you can get hired anywhere.
Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure we state it correct.
Hey, Fred, I don't really know you, but I never
We got to kick ass with the rest of this.
Yeah, quite a, I don't know, I had to get out of here.
No problem, thank you.
I'll
He's a
talk
good
to
man.
you.
If there's any presentations or any of that bullshit's
Like I said, it's sad that we have to do. I understand that we have to and why we have to. It's a shame.
Hey, Tony got his roll.
Hey, Tony, you can't go to the playgrounds wearing that either. You get arrested. I tried to call the police on me. I was at the playground, they called the police on me. They called the police on me. Just to let you know, man.
I don't know where you're from. I'm sorry. All right, thank you.
I think there's something else.
Call the meeting back to order. We're going to begin with the awards, recognitions, and celebrations. Mr. Micah.
All right. Well, it was nice earlier. The sun was shining. Northern Michigan's supposed to get 18 inches of snow this weekend, so we're celebrating being not there.
Oh my goodness.
And in seriousness, Kelly Swales, who's a teacher at Deke Elementary School, presented at the National Science Teachers Association conference recently. She was invited to come speak on science education, and she and Michelle Bealby had prepared a presentation that she was awarded and nominated the opportunity to speak there. Had rave reviews and lots of people just very excited about the work that she's doing. So that was kind of neat to see Swartz Creek's work, Deke specifically being talked about at a national level. So that's what I had for tonight.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, James. Kelly and Michelle and Tajik. All right, moving on, we have superintendent report.
All right. I just would like to take a moment. We will do a bigger formal presentation of this at a future date, but we have a number of our teachers this year who have reached the time in their career where they've decided that it's time to retire, and so publicly I'd just like to thank Mike Dutcher, Deb Rhoda, Diane Hennigy, Lisa Hayward, Art Jacobs, and Wayne Hope, who have all decided that it's time for them to move into a new chapter of their career, and I just want to thank them for their learning in this district. So very exciting time for them, and I just want to make sure that we recognize that, and we will do that formally at a later date. But congratulations to our retirees. The high school students have had SAT testing. The juniors have been testing. The underclassmen have been doing PSAT testing. That's been pretty prevalent the last couple days. We also have MSTEP testing that starts next week. So that's going to be a busy time as we enter into testing season. Students don't tend to love that. Although at the high school, those that are here probably do tend to love the schedule on testing days. But it is definitely a busy time around the schools as we get into all of the statewide testing, and so that will take all the way through April as that's happening. Starting very soon, we will have, hopefully by the end of next week, our first community-based podcast. We're putting together a podcast opportunity for the city and the schools to actually talk about some local issues, talk about things that are happening in the schools and in our community, and be able to get that out in just a different format through technology and through some other media that allow students and community members to access important information. So we're going to start that hopefully by the end of next week. Two other items on my report. The first one, I'd just like to get a little guidance from you. It was actually brought up by Mrs. Ahern before she had resigned from the board, and I think it's a great opportunity. Since Joanne has started, we've been talking about different opportunities to get students more involved in this process, and so I'd like to start the process of looking for a student representative who would actually attend board meetings and be a voice on behalf of the students. I'm actually going to be working on a student advisory committee at the high school, so I'll be trying to meet on a monthly basis with students from the high school, to give them an opportunity as they are young adults to voice some of their ideas, concerns, suggestions on how we can improve. And I think that having a student rep would be a value to the board. So it would be somebody who would actually sit at the table, and I just wanted to make sure there were no objections to me starting down that road and engaging in that process.
No, I only have one question about that. Is you have a student council, and then there's also another student body over there. What is it?
Leadership.
Kids?
Student council, NHS.
Any of you still there?
Leadership, NHS, Key Club.
Okay. Can one,
Peers who care.
okay.
There you go.
So there's different groups. So instead of just having one person come over here, could we have like their elected leader of each one of those groups, or if they don't have elected leader, pick a different leader and have them come to board meetings?
Yeah.
And
on a rotation kind
Well, yeah, that way you're going to get a little more diversity from each group. You're not just going to get the kids, quote unquote, the smart kids from National Honor Society or Peers Who Cares or whatever. Get every group.
Yeah.
So if we could filter that around to all of them, that would be, I think that would be fair to both the student body and us to hear from all of them.
Sure. Yep.
On top of that, I would like to encourage all the different student bodies, to participate, even if it was just 2 or 3 from each group. We only have 1 or 2 board meetings a month, for the rest of the year. But I'd like to see more participation from the students.
Yeah. So we're going to start actively looking into that opportunity, and so just be looking for that in the not too distant future.
We actually did that a few years ago, and unfortunately it fell off the radar. But it was actually very interesting to hear some of the updates from the students and get their opinions and perspective.
Yeah.
Even if we don't get it going till next fall.
Right.
I mean, it'd be great this year, but if it's something that doesn't go next fall, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But just so we put some thought into it and maybe get some their thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be
Thanks.
great. This is a legislative update. I am not going to go through the whole thing. Just I'll let you read most of it, but I do want to highlight a couple bills. First of all, in regards to the state budget, the House, Senate, and Governor have now released their initial budget projections. The way that the budget process works, if you remember from last year, usually the Governor goes first, and then the Senate follows suit, and the House is usually the last to go. All three budgets are mirroring around the same number in terms of per pupil foundation allowance increase. So that is a sign of usually something that they're going to connect on and be consistent. There are a lot of intricacies to the House budget. If you're familiar with anything if you're familiar with, really took those dollars and put that into their budget. So we should hopefully have a budget by the end of May. They take some time in committees to kind of work this through. Last year was the latest I've ever seen it happen. It happened in like mid-June. And if that's a sign of things to come, we'll see. But they do agree, at least on the fact that they appear to be increasing the foundation allowance. There's also a proposal out there on Michigan school safety reform. This is something that's not even in committee yet. They're just kind of proposing ideas and trying to find an underwriter for the bill. Basically allowing more school resource officers and addressing mental health reforms within the school. So that could be good. A couple new bills I want to draw your attention to. You'll see that I have new bills that are being monitored as we put that in there. A couple of conflict of interest in teacher evaluation, making sure that this bill would prevent a teacher from being evaluated by a similarly situated teacher or that has a family member. So family members, obviously that nepotism, they're looking at making sure that that's not a problem in that. They're also looking at prohibiting school districts from imposing or maintaining a limit on the number of teachers they rate as highly effective. That has been some school districts have been doing that. That's not a process that we've engaged in. The percentage for student growth moving from 25 to 40% next year, there's a bill that actually turns that back. I don't think that's probably going to get anywhere. There is an EpiPen package that's there that talks about replacing some of the language. One thing that's significant is the mandatory reporters. Most people are referring to this as the Larry Nassar situation. There's a whole slew of bills that are designed to protect children in the sense of increasing bus drivers, aides, coaches into being mandated reporters. So that's a bill you'll want to keep an eye on. There's talk of a addition to the Open Meetings Act by adding closed session for safety planning, which would be a new addition to something that school boards could go into closed session for. And creating permanent pre-Labor Day waivers. So right now, any school district that is going to have a pre-Labor Day start needs to have an annual waiver done. We are doing ours through the ISD, and that would be an annual process currently. This Senate Bill 885 would essentially make that a permanent situation that wouldn't have to be annual. The House approved bills, there are several that are out there. Couple of things here. Expulsion for CSC, again related to, there's a lot of legislation coming out from the Larry Nassar thing. Just a couple silly bills that you'll look through and you'll be like, why did he include that? I'm trying to give you as much information for those of you that are interested in the legislative process. One of the things that is obviously of note, one of the Senate bills, concealed carry in schools, would allow CPL holders with enhanced training to be able to conceal carry a pistol in some no-carry zones, including schools. That would also close the loophole that allows open carry in schools. So it's kind of it's got a lot of support right now. It's actually moving through the Senate and now going on to the House. So it actually has passed through the Senate. See here, elimination of the ACT work keys test. There's speculation that there will likely be an addition by SAT because College Board has something similar to that as well. Senate Bill 384 would also allow for sinking funds for buses, which is also something that we will be monitoring. The last couple pages here, these are things that were recently signed into law. So these are not just bills that need to be monitored, these are actually signed into law. Their out-of-state dual enrollment is kind of an interesting thing. It allows students attending a Michigan school district located on a state border to dual enroll in post-secondary outside of Michigan. That doesn't affect us, but it's kind of something that we've already passed through and been signed. School counselor certification requirements, those are changing. Another one is that school resource officers will be exempt from the seclusion and restraint laws that were just recently passed. So the ability for school personnel to seclude and restrain a student has obviously been called into question with that bill. This bill makes it so that SROs are exempt from that. There's an opioid education bill that is passed, and the MDE is going to be creating content standards and guidelines for health education to include instruction on prescription drug epidemic and opioid drug overdose. There's a bill on flashing advisory signs on buses, so there's just all sorts of little bills that are out there right now. So that gives you kind of an update on the state of the legislature. So this will be kind of a quarterly update that I tend to monitor these things. I'm in contact with legislators on a pretty regular basis, so it gives me an opportunity to spell out some of these things for you, and I will keep you informed. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. The one thing I would like to just make you aware of, and I don't know if there's any interest, it's in May, I believe it's May 22nd. There is a school board opportunity in Lansing where we can go and meet with legislators. They do a little bit of a tour of the Capitol building, and then there'll be a little luncheon there. So I would be happy to coordinate and go if you have interest in going. So I just need to know if any of you.
When was it?
I believe it's May 22nd, but it's a run through MASB, and I can get us signed up and set up for that.
I would
if
like
that's
that.
something you're interested in.
It's a Tuesday. What, like?
And I don't want to. I guess right now what I'm just looking for is there
Sure.
interest in going?
But what time,
And then
like, do you know?
I'll find out. It's going to be during the day.
During the
Yeah,
day?
it's gonna be during the day.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Lunchtime.
Yeah.
They're doing lunch.
Probably morning to
Sure.
lunch. I will find out the exact date.
You're
So
funny.
anytime to get a free
That's
meal.
all I heard was lunch.
You did, so you're right. Lunchtime.
I
Okay,
have a question. The Senate Bill 727, the no basic skills test for interim teaching certificate, is that intended to increase the number of folks or more quickly add folks to the ranks of the teachers? So you
Yes.
don't have to have so many substitutes to
Yep.
rely on?
Exactly.
Is that exactly what that's
Yep.
for? Okay.
Yep. They still they still need to pass the basic skills test, but it eliminates one of the tests there.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Did the Dakota Clarkson rule there for the Michigan High School Athletic
Yes, they
Association?
did. Yes, they did.
Seen that on there?
Yep. MHSAA new rule there for transfer students. So yeah, I mean, you can see this is just a snapshot this spring of bills that impact education. And so it's a constant barrage of keeping up on, because now what's going to happen is all these things that come through or don't get through in some form or fashion, we're going to be coming back with these, right? Which is the policies that have to follow that. So it's a constant and evolving thing. It's pretty amazing to see just how much the impact of the legislature has on all that we do. But it's important to stay up on it and engage in the process. So if you're interested, I guess send me an email, and I will make arrangements, and Joanne can make some connections to arrange whether we, carpool or however we do that with 3 people or less.
Only if you're driving.
Post it and you can ride.
I used to.
Yeah.
Oh, you could drive.
So that's what I have for the superintendent's update.
Good, thank you very much. I don't believe we had any subcommittees to report on. Going on to informational items, there were no questions from the previous meeting. And the employment and payment bills are here for your information. Going on to number 8, board discussion items. We have the first reading for our Neola policy, technology and background checks.
Skip that.
Yeah, so
I'll make a motion.
basically, I passed these out to you at our last meeting, and I encourage you to look through them. This is just a part of the process. So this is our first look at these. What I will tell you is that we will have a policy committee that's going to be looking at this more in depth. And we also, Joanne is going to be reaching out to you via email within the next week or so. I'd like to start scheduling. I know with a couple of you, we kind of ad hoc, we'll meet and we'll get together to talk about stuff. These are the types of things that are good to handle one-on-one. So I'd like to try and set up a plan to meet with you all one-on-one at least once a month. So it gives us an opportunity. If you have questions about this, if you have things that come up. But anything in the interim, if you have questions on any of these policies, feel free to shoot me an email or a text, and we can talk about that. So.
Any questions? Tony, I don't want to call you out and put you on the spot, but do you have any questions or concerns for now? Okay, good. Just always know you can answer questions.
Okay.
Call Ben.
He knows that. We are at a point, we did one budget amendment a couple months ago, and we typically do about 3 of these a year, maybe 4. We'll probably do 2 more of them, one at the very end of the fiscal year, and then also probably another one in a month or a month and a half. And the reason for that, of course, is as our year-to-date actual spending and what we budgeted, we kind of start to get an idea of what those metrics are going to look like, and then we have a better idea of projecting out. So each one gets a little bit more accurate, and so Stacy's here to talk about amendment number 2.
So you guys have amendment number 2 in your board packet. I met with Mike yesterday just to go over the major changes that I made in this amendment. The revenue changes, I took my March 20th state aid update from the State of Michigan status report, and I updated all of our state aid numbers, your 22A revenues, your 31A revenues. We had a prior year adjustment in our state aid on that state aid status report, so I adjusted that in the budget. I also added the educator evaluation grant revenue that came in on the state aid status report. Minor adjustments to athletic revenues where they actually came in at, so I adjusted the budget to where the football actually came in at, and basketball seasons that are already over, I adjusted those budgets to where they actually came in. And I also adjusted state, local tax revenues according to where they're actually coming in at. Expenditure changes in this budget. I increased textbook accounts for the new curriculum, the math expressions curriculum that we went into this year. I adjusted that. I increased our FICA employer FICA expense to account for the 3% refund that we had to issue all of our teacher staff, which was $1.3 million in refunds that we had to issue this year. And the district had to pick up the employer FICA expense on that, which was about $94,000. So that went into the budget. I also increased the audit services fees because we had an additional audit in the last fall. Some other things, I increased some building purchase budgets for the CDC building to get them more in line. I decreased the PAC salaries and benefits as they were still as they were last fall. Increased custodial contracts to account for the minimum wage increase that fell upon us unexpectedly. Custodial supplies accounts were reduced to where we're actually spending. RC's doing a great job keeping those custodial supplies and counts in line, so those looked good. A way I was able to adjust all the increase in expenditures was we had a very big increase in 31A funds, and we identified some of the expenses that we weren't previously funding with 31A, and now we're going to fund them with 31A this year to make up for some of these other expenses that hit us unexpectedly. We are projecting in this budget, it's zero-based, so we're projecting no increase to the general fund balance and no decrease to the general fund balance with this. So it's revenues and expenses, and we're going to try to keep and go flat this year, not adding, not taking away. That's where we project to see. Does anybody have any questions?
I just would like to add, I know you mentioned this earlier, one of the things that was very unexpected, and we talked about this at another board meeting, the 3% return to the educators that we had to do just a few months ago. that was in fact that costed the district well over $100,000, and that was not something that we had budgeted or would have had budgeted in our budget for that one-time expenditure. So that's something that also hit us kind of unexpectedly. So that accounts for some of that too. But we're frugal, and we will try and we like to be even or a little bit ahead. When we
I think we will add a little bit, but I'm budgeting conservatively. So with this, so I'm suggesting that we pass a balanced budget there, but our hope is to add a little bit of fund balance to where we actually end. Any other questions?
No. Thank you, Stacy. I know it's been a lot of work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, going on, we have our 2018 bond policy discussion.
In forming a resolution for us to go through the next steps of the process. There's nothing at this point that would lock us into a number or any of those types of things. What we really do at this point, and you'll see the resolution on the back of the agenda there, it talks about authorizing the school to take the next necessary steps. There's a lot of technicalities here, so just to be, give you kind of a high-level overview, there's several qualification meetings that we have to attend, so Stacy and I will be going. There is a pre-qualification meeting that you would go to for a bond, and these are all things that we really don't have authorization to attend unless the board says take the steps necessary to do that. Before we would have any type of language that would go on the ballot, you would be approving that ballot language, you would be approving those amounts, and we've already had some good conversations about that, but that will come at a later date. So at this time, we need to take the next steps and go and actually sit at the qualification meetings and meet at the state level for that. And then we can come back to you once we have those necessary steps completed, and we'll actually be asking you to approve the specific ballot language that will be there.
So what does the timeline look like for that? So is it between now and May? And what's the deadline for us to have submitted language?
We're going to start going to the qualification meetings in May. We'll adopt ballot language sometime this summer, and that will give us the opportunity then to have everything communicated accurately and clearly to our community. But it's, we're still a few months away from that part. What we're doing right now is we're asking for a resolution to say, go out and get us registered and able to go out for the bond. You'll actually be addressing the exact language that goes on the ballot in the next couple months.
Any questions?
I'd just like to see the ballot language sooner than later, because that's going to be one of my issues, is how the ballot language reads.
Sure. Okay.
Any other questions for Ben? Okay. All right. I think we have the elementary support services discussion.
So this is just I wanted to have an opportunity to bring you up to speed. We are working with our support staff, and we will actually be posting a number of positions that are out there for our student support professionals, and this is an opportunity for them to not only, I think, better themselves, but take a look at a different structure for how we have our aides and student support professionals working in buildings. So to give you an example of what we are dealing with, we typically would have, say, let's just take an elementary school, Cyrene Elementary School, we'd have a number of student support professionals that are working. At times, a student might need a one-on-one aid, and so what would happen is that student would, have a one-on-one support aid. That student goes to the middle school, but that aid didn't necessarily follow them in the past. So now we have an additional person that's been absorbed back in. And so what we really have is we're trying to address the structures that we offer support. And so we're looking at trying to elevate the pay rates of those individuals, and we're looking at trying to make sure we have the proper number of those individuals. This is coinciding at a good time with the moving our young ones to before and after school care at the buildings. So there will be opportunities for positions, but it's just going to be an interesting kind of I would say a shuffling, if you will, of some people as they look at, and they'll have opportunities to apply and do all of those types of things. So that's a conversation that's happening. I just want to make sure you kind of understand what that is. Does anybody have any questions on that? So I'll keep you updated and posted on that issue as we move forward.
Okay, so moving on to the Academy Vision discussion.
So we've had a couple facility meetings. Our intention since the initial decision on Mary Crapo was to move the academy to the 400 wing at the high school. There have been subsequent conversations. The facility study has been out. We've been looking through that. There has been a proposal from the architects as they look at the space. It would be a significant cost-saving measure and actually probably makes a little bit more sense. And so I'm trying to get a little bit of input from the board on this. The recommendation would be that we either continue on with our plan and we look at that 400 wing of the high school, or we take a look at the, it's actually an art wing over at the middle school, which is a little bit more separated. It's a little bit easier to kind of create a self-contained location and space for the students. I think it would actually work out better, and there's a small parking lot area over there. Having that opportunity to look at the middle school versus the high school, we have not gone very far in terms of getting any kinds of concept drawings done or anything like that, but we're approaching a time where we have to start doing that. The middle school would require much less, I guess, renovation, because you're doing very little in terms of, other than adding some entries and in a wall here or there, it's much less construction. So obviously from a financial side, that's there. I think obviously the thought of having our academy students there can be a very positive thing. They've been next to our little ones at the CDC for a number of years, but I also know that could be something that somebody would have issue with. So I wanted to get some input from you. Do you have a preference on either location that I would engage in?
Where would the entrance be at the middle school for them?
It would be on the rear. It would be on the back side.
The pool?
Nope, it would be actually further east. So there's actually an entrance. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a room in there. If you went, I remember on the board tour, it had like wooden floor and those types of things.
Yep.
So it's a little bit easier at that hallway to create a separation, a divider, and then you have the proper fire code access, but you also, they become a little bit more of a self-contained building. There's a little bit more intricacy at the high school. So we are prepared to move forward at the high school. We've had those conversations. However, I think that the middle school provides us an opportunity that is a better cost and possibly even a better location. So I wanted to get any of your thoughts and perspectives before we move forward in getting into
Does the parking interfere with the bus parking over there?
I don't think so. No, it's actually a separate little lot back over there. So
All the way to the east towards the Ball Diamonds?
Yes. Yeah.
And then they're gonna walk all the way down the driveway back to the west end of this building?
no, there's actually there's a little self-contained parking lot out beyond on the east side, so
Right.
behind the building.
Their entrance would be right there.
Okay.
On the
Yeah.
other side of that building.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a drawing if we could have one, just to.
Okay.
I'd like to see a drawing and actually see what the dollars and cents of it is, because in reality, those kids are senior high school students, and I think they belong in the senior high school, but
I'd like to see a drawing and see what it would look like.
Okay.
And what happens with the kids in that space right there? What happens with that space that would change in the middle school? What's being utilized in that space today?
So the middle school has the most.
But currently there are not students.
There are students
Are
over
there?
there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's- I think
So
that's
there
what
would
we're
be some
asking.
classrooms that would be
Is it the
moving to a
Spanish
different
hallway?
wing.
And there's room to
It's
reshuffle
the-
the students is what you're saying.
It's the
Yeah,
Spanish
the
hallway,
room, the
right?
classrooms would be in slightly different
Yeah,
locations.
right, yeah, it's that and,
There's like computer rooms and art
yeah,
rooms and
there,
Spanish
yeah,
there.
You got it.
Good job.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I agree. I think a drawing
Okay.
would be good.
Just
Yeah, me too.
wanted to get your initial temperature. I'll have something to share with you, and then we'll
Yeah.
move forward.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Finally, our values and goal-setting discussion. I think we've had this on our list for a while.
We have. So we just finally, snow days, everything else. And I forgot to mention this in my superintendent's update. I'll be sending an email out to all of the parents in the district sometime tomorrow. Our waiver by the state of Michigan was approved for our snow days, so we are kosher to have our normal ending times as we had planned. So you guys shouldn't be excited about that. But anyway,
Is that consistent for all of the ISD?
no, there are some ISDs that have been kicked back. You have to provide a rationale. One of the things that we have, I would say, going for us in terms of a waiver is that we have a lot of back roads and country roads that have drifting and things like that that have, allowed us to. That was an exclusionary piece that they looked at.
Well, thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
admitting that, or whomever wrote it.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have that, but I will say that we have now finished up all of our buildings. We have all of that input. I'd like to set up a time to have a workshop, a board workshop. We did one last year. I'd like to do another one. And really start looking at strategic planning and goal setting. And so let me just give you a little snapshot. I think I may have said this to you in a different time, but we are likely going to set goals, financial goals, human resources, talent management goals, student safety goals, student achievement goals. And then you start overlaying that with your values. What do you value? Family, for example, becomes a value that a district could have as one of their top enduring values. It's one that the staff have routinely come near the top. So then you start looking at what is a goal, right, for human resources or talent management related to family. How do we care for our employees if family is one of our values? And so what it starts to do is your values start to inform the goals that you set for your district. And that's a process that I've been through. It's very powerful. And I think one of the issues that we have is you can live in one of two extremes. You can live in the extreme where you have a strategic plan that sits on a 3-ring binder and collects dust, and everybody wonders, well, what's in the plan, what's in the plan, what's in the plan? You spend so much time planning that nobody knows what the plan is. And we don't want to live in that space. We don't want to be there. But you also have the other extreme, which is you have no strategic plan. You don't have any significant board goals. And so what effectively happens is you're just ending up responding and reacting to situations as they come versus proactively really looking at setting a vision for these are the goals that we aspire to have in our district, what we seek to do, where we want to go, and what do we value. And those things coalesce together, and then you end up having something that every student and staff member and parent and employee understands and has the ability to kind of carry out. So it's probably a 3 to 4 hour workshop that we would need to set up. Depending on times and things like that, I would ask that we try and do that within the next month or so. And so I'm going to ask Joanne to try and reach out to you individually and find out schedules and see if we can get something on the calendar. So that's my spiel on that.
Then would a part of that be us, defining how we would measure progress towards those goals? I think that's important for us, right? If we set goals and we line up with our values, it's measuring whether or not we're being effective and we're getting to where we want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great point, and there needs to be some metrics established. I think you hit the nail on the head. How will we make sure that we're being successful?
Yep.
So there's an accountability piece. You've probably heard in your different fields something similar to SMART goals, where you're really setting those goals out there. But these goals will be informed by our values. And so I think that's the added layer there, that Swartz Creek is the things are realized in our goals.
So Joanne's going to solicit dates from us?
Yes.
Or propose them?
She's going to throw some dates. She's first going to call you and find out, so just be looking at your calendar in the month of May or, end of April, and we'll want to get something scheduled.
So if we preferred evenings versus daytime,
yep,
that would be okay.
That would be fine. Yep.
And we have nothing the rest of April.
Correct. Yep. So that might be the perfect time to do it. So that is all I have for discussion today.
Okay, so before we go on to board action item, the next first thing that we're going to talk about or vote on is in your packet of materials. And our newest board member represented us at the budget hearing. And so I don't know if there's anything in particular that you'd like to share, Tony.
It definitely was interesting to hear all the great things that GISD tries to do. I think what was new to me is understanding what they offer and what we do or don't support, or we do or don't participate in, was kind of something I needed to understand a little bit better. So they did provide a breakdown of the things that we do participate in today. It's not clear to me how do we make sure we're leveraging all the other opportunities they have for the district as well too. But enjoyed the conversation and the overview of the GISD and how they run things as well.
So the process is such that we send a representative, they vote or support on our behalf. It comes back to the board. We can choose to support it, and then later in the spring it goes to the superintendents, correct, for their action?
Yes, but tonight would be an actual resolution to approve the budget, and then
as it was presented.
As it was presented.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that being said, I would entertain a motion for the GISD annual budget resolution approval.
So moved.
Stacy?
So moved.
Tony? Any comments or questions? All right, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community School Board of Education approve the Genesee Intermediate School District Budget Profile 2018-2019 as presented. Did I say any comments? I did say comments or questions. It's been a long night. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, going on, we have our 2017-18 budget amendment that Stacy just approved, budget amendment number 2. I need a motion.
So moved.
We'll say Brian and Mike. Any comments or questions? All right. Be it resolved, the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved the 2017-18 Budget Amendment 2 as presented. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. C, 2018 Bond Project Resolution. As been explained to us, this is our recommendation that they can go forward with the first steps. Need a motion?
So moved.
Tony? Stacy? Any comments or questions? All right. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved the authorization of the school district's administration to take all steps necessary to prepare for a potential November 2018 bond election, including the preparation of the Michigan Department of Treasury's application for preliminary qualification of bonds through the school loan revolving fund, and to work with the necessary consultants to assist in the preparation of that application as presented. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Finally, SCEA employment approval.
Colleen?
Look at her sitting the whole time. So
very patient woman.
Yes, she is very patient. That we're so happy to be able to bring Olivia to the board for approval for our first teacher for this next season. Olivia is currently a student teacher with us at 8th grade in middle school, and she's going to be graduating from Spring Arbor University. And she has a very unique background, which I know all of you know how difficult it is for us to find special education teachers, but it's also difficult for us to find a special education teacher who has a math concentration as well. So she is a star, and we're very excited to have her. So I'll let Olivia say a few things to everyone.
I'm Olivia. I'm coming from Marshall, Michigan, and so it's a small town. I also, Spring Arbor is very community based. I came up to the Flint area. I taught summer school last year downtown at Carriage Town Ministries, and decided I think maybe I should come back up this way. And so I'm living with the host family, and we just decided to come back up. Getting married this summer, and we're looking for that in a community, and I think I found that in Swartz Creek. I have a lot of growth to make, brand new, and I think that this is a safe place to do that. And the conversations that I've had with Derek and Ben and Kevin and all the awesome administrators I get to work with. So I am excited to grow with you guys and hopefully make you proud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Me too as well. Wish you good luck. Well, I guess you got hired. Yeah. We'll wish you luck in a minute.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Congratulations.
Congratulations too.
Thank you, Olivia. I need a motion.
So, support, so moved.
Support.
I get it.
Brian,
I'll get
Brian
it.
and Tony, we're
For the love
toast,
of God.
man, we're toast. Okay, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the effective May 1st, 2018 as presented. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Olivia.
Congratulations.
Welcome. Okay.
Carrie?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion so Olivia can get an overtime slip for tonight.
You've already earned time off, I think. Okay, going on to number 11, comments and questions from the board. Anybody?
I do. I have a bunch of them. So hang on. First thing, we need to have a plan in place in case we have people show up like they did tonight where we have a secondary location, because I'm all but certain tonight, and I don't mean this in a negative way, because I think we did our best and I think we moved things around so that we helped the community some, but I'm willing to bet there was a fire code and an Opens Meeting Act violation here, the way this meeting was held. So we need to improve on that for the future. I had a couple people talk about, and I don't know this, Ben, so just have Travis check about the camera coming on and off. And the timing of it, not that it's turning off and on.
Okay. For the meetings
Yes,
itself?
sir.
Okay.
Without going too much into detail about this, when we had an expulsion hearing a month or 2 or 3 ago, there were 2 other children that were in question. And if we're not going to do anything with those 2 other children, I would like a written explanation on why. Because it was very clear that they violated board policy from what we read. Something else that was brought up tonight in public comments about the situation with Mr. Fitzgerald. And my comment here isn't so much directed to Mr. Fitzgerald's situation as a situation overall that 2 parents brought up. I don't know what happened there. I wasn't there. I haven't seen a video. We haven't been given anything from the administrators. So that's why I'm not surrounding this around Sean. I am surrounding around, I think the children would agree, I think the parents would agree, there has to be some latitude and there has to be some common sense approach when children, not necessarily in this case, act a fool. Teachers are not just strapped down where they cannot defend themselves or they cannot defend their class. There's no reason for a class to be interrupted continuously, whether it's a lack of support from administrators or just a lack of respect out of the children. But I will tell you, as someone, and I think these other 2 gentlemen over here, I've been in law enforcement 29 years. You don't let anyone walk on you there, and our teachers cannot allow to be walked on in a classroom. Because while someone's walking on them, the other 29 or 30 kids in that classroom are not being educated. So I'm not having open season on children because I don't ever want to see any of our kids abused. But they're here to learn. And if the environment is such that they can't learn because little Billy or little Susie wants to clown, they need to go before it turns into another fiasco like we've had. And my last thing, I am requesting, and if you want it in a FOIA fashion, I'm requesting as a board member. I'll request it in a FOIA, and I've talked to an attorney about this, and I will be willing to take it to court if I do not get it. I would like the budget emailed to me in Excel form. And if it's not going to be, let me know. That's all I have.
Anybody else? No. I would like to thank everybody who's still here. It's been a long evening. I'd also like to congratulate the teachers, the educators who are very dedicated, who are retiring. And I know that you'll do something later, but and they're not here to thank, but hopefully they're watching this tonight. And we appreciate your commitment to the district, right up there. You guys aren't really on camera, but you are. So,
only when you're bad.
and thanks to all the young folks who are still here. I hope you don't have too much homework tonight.
There's more testing.
Oh, okay. All right. Anything else? Oh, thank you, Stacy, for your work on the
Thank
budget.
you.
Appreciate that very much. And Colleen, thank you for bringing us a wonderful new picture. And with that, we will adjourn.
We're done?
Did that get taken off? Oh. Oh, it's still on there. I thought we didn't have the one.
We didn't add it to our agenda.
It's still there. Oh. And that's the newest one.
Yeah, we made the adjustment.
Oh, okay. I don't care one way or the other. I was just like, oh, we're done? Whoops.
Ben said
Sir, you guys can?
Good, how are you?
How are you?
Good, sir. How are you? It's my son that is keeping there.
I don't think we're in a position.
Hey, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Bye-bye, Mr. Jewell. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Right here and here.
No, we're done.
Hello? That was. I don't drink, but I think I'm going to the gym because I gotta get some stuff out of my brain. I have to. I can't.
Hi, how are ya?
Good.
Yeah, fun. Take a look. You can take a look.
I can't smell it.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Text me some.
Take care. I missed that part.
All right.
About the whole session.
You wait.
Oh, it's on the new.
Till you
Is it
retire.
on the new one? Well, I don't know.
Yes.
It's not, or is it off?
It's on.
It's on the new one she did?
Yeah.
How's the college?
So you may want to, I think Lenny will want to go.
We better.
Supposedly
Well,
model
did you know that?
one. I'm like,
It's on the new one.
On the new one,
We
it's
have
very
to.
true.
ties and
I was going originally by this one.
I got it.
That's why Mike and I were a little confused, but that's.
But then after that.
Or would it be?
No, the one that's posted online is just, it's.
No, the one that's been, the one posted online has closed session.
Oh, it does?
You better.
Yeah,
That's what
because-
just happened. We better.
No, because I've seen it before I left.
Yeah, well, that needs,
We have to do it, right? Because. Or we can.